In the vast, quiet hills of Montana, a young man named Luke Harrison faces a challenge that seems impossible: saving Rusty, a horse everyone believes is beyond hope. Against the doubts of the town and the weight of loss, Luke embarks on a journey of courage, resilience, and deep connection with the land and its creatures. This is a story of healing, family, and the unbreakable bond between man and nature, where hope sparks even in the darkest moments. In the quiet dawn of Montana's rolling hills, Luke Harrison stood beside the old barn, watching the first rays of sunlight touch the frost-covered fields. The farm was silent, except for the soft breeze whispering through the trees. Luke's hands, callous but gentle, rested on the wooden fence as he thought about the past year, a year marked by loss, hope, and stubborn determination. It was here, amidst the endless plains, that he found himself face to face with Rusty, a horse everyone else had ridden off. But Luke saw something different, something worth fighting for. Rusty was a shadow of what he used to be. His coat was dull, ribs showing beneath thinning fur, and a painful limp slowed his every step. The townsfolk whispered that the old horse was beyond saving, that it was kinder to let him go. But Luke, with a heart full of quiet resolve, refused to give in to their judgment. For him, Rusty was more than an animal. He was a symbol of resilience, a living testament to the unyielding spirit of the land itself. And so, day after day, Luke dedicated himself to the impossible. The early mornings were spent cleaning the barn and preparing herbal remedies, while the afternoons carried the sounds of Luke's soft voice telling Rusty stories of better days. He talked about the wide-open fields, the mountain streams, and the promise of spring. It wasn't just care, it was a connection deeper than words, forged in silence and patience. Luke believed that hope could heal, that the smallest acts of kindness might stir life where others saw only the end. But this was only the beginning of a journey neither of them could fully understand yet. As the season slowly shifted from harsh winter to tentative spring, the farm seemed to hold its breath. Neighbors exchanged glances, unsure whether to admire Luke's faith or pity his stubbornness. His sister Grace watched from a distance, torn between love for her brother and fear for his heart. The struggle with Rusty was not just about a horse. It was a battle against loss, doubt, and the weight of expectations in a small town where survival meant sometimes giving up. Yet Luke pressed on, believing the land and the creature it nurtured had more stories to tell. Luke's sister, Grace, was the practical one, the pillar that held the family farm together since their parents passed. She managed the finances and the tough decisions, always trying to keep reality in focus. Watching Luke spend hours tending to Rusty frustrated her. She worried the horse was suffering and that her brother was chasing a dream that could break him. But beneath her stern exterior, Grace cared deeply, hoping Luke's hope would not turn to heartbreak. Old Tom Whitaker was a different story altogether. The grizzled neighbor was a legend in these parts, known for his stories of wild horses and old remedies. When he heard of Luke's determination, Tom didn't scoff like the others. Instead, he brought herbs, advice, and a weathered touch of faith in the impossible. Their friendship, built on quiet respect, gave Luke new strength, an older hand to guide him through dark nights and long days. Each morning, Luke and Tom worked side by side, mixing poultices and cleaning wounds, whispering secrets only the land and animals understood. The bond between boy and mentor was a fragile thread woven through the healing process. Tom shared stories of horses who had survived against all odds, reminding Luke that sometimes the heart was the strongest muscle. Rusty, despite his weakness, seemed to sense this care and fought to stay alive. But not everyone in the town saw things this way. Sheriff Ray Donnelly, a man of law and tradition, often warned Luke to be realistic. He argued that holding on to Rusty was cruel, prolonging suffering instead of easing it. His visits were tense, reminders that the world outside the farm expected harsh decisions. Yet Luke held firm, guided by an unshakable conviction that life deserved a chance, no matter how faint the spark might seem. One stormy night, as rain hammered the tin roof and lightning split the sky, Luke was deep in the barn with Rusty. The horse's breathing was shallow, his body weak from days of struggle. Luke held his hand to Rusty's flaring nostrils, whispering comfort in a quiet voice. Outside, the wind howled like a restless spirit, but inside that worn barn, time seemed to slow. Luke knew this was a test, not just of Rusty's strength, but of his own heart and will. Then, as lightning illuminated the dark, Luke's eyes caught something unexpected: a small wooden box tucked away in a dusty corner. He opened it carefully, revealing yellowed newspaper clippings and faded photographs. The images showed a young man and a majestic horse that looked just like Rusty. The name, Samuel Whitaker, was scrawled on a brittle piece of paper, tying the past to the present in a whisper of forgotten history. When Luke showed the box to old Tom, the old man's eyes glistened with tears. Samuel was his father, a rodeo champion who had loved Rusty like family. Tom shared the story of how Samuel had saved Rusty from a fire years before, risking his own life. Rusty wasn't just a stray or a lost horse. He was a survivor, carrying the legacy of courage and sacrifice. This revelation deepened Luke's resolve, transforming the battle to save Rusty into a mission to honor that heritage. From that night onward, Rusty's recovery became more than a fight against illness. It became a reclaiming of identity. Luke talked to Rusty about the past, about bravery and love, about never giving up no matter the odds. The horse responded with slow but steady signs of improvement, each small victory a testament to the unbroken bond between them. Together, they were rewriting a story that others had already deemed finished. Spring brought promise, but it also carried danger. The thaw turned the ground soft and unstable, and one afternoon, while Luke fed Rusty near the hillside, the earth suddenly gave way beneath them. Trees crashed down the slope, and rocks tumbled in a chaotic roar. Luke was thrown to the ground, stunned and struggling for breath, but he saw Rusty standing firm despite the trembling earth. The horse's fierce eyes met Luke's, steady and alive, a silent promise that he wouldn't abandon him now.
That moment changed everything. Word of Rusty's bravery spread through the nearby town of Bozeman like wildfire. The very horse no one believed in had saved Luke's life. Sheriff Donnelly, once skeptical, became a quiet supporter, bringing food and offering an apologetic smile. Grace, who had held back tears for months, finally allowed herself to hope. The farm wasn't just a place of survival anymore, it was a place of new beginnings. The community rallied around Luke and Rusty. Neighbors helped repair fences, shared stories, and brought gifts of blankets and feed. Children came by to stroke Rusty's mane, their eyes wide with wonder at the horse who had beaten the odds. Luke decided to turn his pain and perseverance into purpose. He planned a sanctuary for old and forgotten horses, a refuge where animals like Rusty could find love and care. Luke's farm blossomed with more than crops, it grew with hope and healing. Rusty never regained his old strength, but his spirit shone brighter than ever. He was a reminder that resilience wasn't just about muscle or speed, it was about heart. And Luke, with his unwavering belief, had discovered that sometimes, saving another meant saving yourself. As the seasons changed, Luke's bond with Rusty deepened in ways words could hardly capture. Every morning, he greeted the horse with quiet reverence, knowing their journey was more than just about healing, it was about connection. The farm became a sanctuary not only for animals but for people burdened by loss and doubt. Visitors came from nearby towns, drawn by stories of hope and perseverance, each leaving with a little more faith than when they arrived. Luke's sister Grace softened over time, her practical heart touched by the transformation she witnessed. She began helping with the sanctuary, her sharp mind turning to organizing care and spreading the word. Together, they built a legacy that stretched beyond the family farm, weaving into the very fabric of the community. In those moments, the farm was no longer a place of sorrow but a beacon of resilience and shared strength. Old Tom, now a constant presence, taught Luke and Grace old remedies and stories passed down through generations. His tales painted the vast landscapes of the American West, filled with wild horses, rugged pioneers, and the enduring spirit of survival. Listening to Tom, Luke realized that their struggle was part of a much larger story, one that had been unfolding long before they ever set foot on that land. Rusty, though slowed by time and injury, became a symbol of that enduring spirit. His eyes held the wisdom of years, and his quiet strength inspired everyone who crossed the farm's threshold. Luke often found himself watching Rusty in the fading light, grateful for the chance to be part of a story that was still unfolding, one of courage, hope, and the unbreakable bond between man and nature. One autumn evening, as the sun dipped behind the distant mountains, Luke sat beside Rusty in the quiet barn. The horse's breathing was calm, but Luke knew the time was near. With a heavy heart, he whispered words of gratitude and farewell, promising that Rusty's spirit would live on in every horse they saved. The farm, once a place of struggle, had become a sanctuary of love, a testament to the power of faith and family. The community gathered for a small ceremony, honoring Rusty's life and the legacy he left behind. Tears mixed with smiles as stories were shared, of battles fought, hope regained, and lives forever changed. Luke's journey had come full circle, revealing that sometimes the greatest victories come not from winning, but from never giving up. Rusty's story was now part of the land, carried in the hearts of all who believed. Years later, Luke's sanctuary thrived, a haven for forgotten souls, both human and animal. Grace led efforts to expand, ensuring the farm's mission would continue for generations. And Old Tom's tales still echoed in the wind, reminding everyone that resilience was woven into the very soil beneath their feet. Through courage, hope, and unity, Luke had transformed pain into purpose, inspiring a community and healing a broken spirit. As the stars emerged in the vast Montana sky, Luke looked out over the fields with quiet peace. The journey had been long and hard, but it had shaped him into a man who understood the true meaning of strength. Not in muscle or speed, but in the heart that refuses to give up, just like Rusty. Their story, a humble testament to the power of love and perseverance, would live on forever. Thank you for joining us on Luke and Rusty's incredible journey of hope and resilience. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new adventure. Together, we'll keep exploring tales that inspire and remind us all of the power of courage and love. See you in the next story.